Let the chaos reign. Chaos Reign presents Let's Look Into Tech with special guest Keepittechie. Broadcast November the 14th, 2020. Get your pen and pad, papers ready, and enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In a world where there's crime, corruption, violence, murder, rape, and all forms of atrocity that plagues the world in which we live in today. What you're witnessing, we are living in a state of chaos, and it takes more greater or extremer chaos to restore the order in which we live in today. Good evening, my people. This is Chaos here. Tonight, we're going to deal with technology, or talk about things that's techie, in a sense. But before we begin, I'd like everybody to go to Talk World Solutions, the website. And on Talk World Solutions, you'll see not only a list of Black Bank's 3-point plan, et cetera, but you will see the latest articles and news that's, going on in the world today. Most of the news outlets are current, some here in America and possibly out abroad. But nonetheless, the website has all the information for your indulgence. So go check us out on talkworldsolutions.com. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Talk World Solutions on Facebook, what you're waiting for, type in Talk World Solutions. You'll see the nice little main line. Hit the like button. And you also might be able to follow the private chat room on Facebook as well. And the streams and shows are uploaded up there as well. So, go to Talk World Solutions on Facebook as well. Hold on a second. I got to make sure okay. Look, everything's working. Let me make sure. Let me reconnect. But you can follow us on Facebook as well. Also, you can follow this show on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, that's not good. Anyway, you could what was I say? You can follow us on YouTube as well. And let me check if let me see if we could type in YouTube. If we're up. Yes, we are. All right, let me mute this. On YouTube, you can follow us as well. And what's good, Mr. Moss? You will you can also follow all the shows, including this one, on Talk World Solutions on the YouTube channel as well. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can subscribe there. And like always, I put the shows that I do on Chaos Reign channel as well. So if you don't get it from here, you get it from Chaos Reign, the channel itself. So no fret. All the information is available. Wait, what's this? Let's check this out. Look, I'm checking something. Look, my internet might be down a little bit. It don't matter. Okay, but nonetheless, that's all the information that I will lay out tonight. Okay, so on to the subject or the show. If you dare, press *61. Back up your mic. Okay. No further ado. Today's stream is titled Chaos Reign Presents. Let's look into tech with my special guest for this evening, none other than Keepittechie. So open your line, Keepittechie. Hello, sir. You there?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
I'm good. I can hear you well. Give me 1 second. Let me just switch over to my mic. All right. Good evening to you, Keepittechie. Welcome to the first time here on Talk World Solutions. Before we get into the meat of the matter, I'd like to take a step back, or I could say moment in time, before we jump into the present, into the future. So tell everybody for the very first time here on Talk World Solutions a little bit about yourself.
How you doing? How you doing, guys out there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you good. Are you good?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm Josh from Keepittechie. I basically created a YouTube channel where I specifically talk about Linux, and the whole purpose for me, doing this is to introduce people to open source software as well as um, the Linux operating system, which is alternative to Windows and Mac OS. And I've been working in the IT field for about 15 years, just doing various positions, network administration, system administration. And so that's one of the things I try to, give my experience as well from working in the field, and just see if I could try to help people or open doors to try to get people into the field that may be looking for a career change or just unsure on where they want to go. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. And do you hear any feedback or anything like that?
Just a little bit. It's a little staticky, but it's fine.
All right. No, I have to correct that. For the Linux, because I'm gonna correct the audio for a second, people. To most people that are not well educated, because you've been doing this for, I believe, decades, maybe a decade or more in this field. What is Linux, and is it a more suitable source for the consumer to, I guess, use if they're not really well versed into the Windows operating system or the Apple operating system? I don't know if you can give a brief history and its totality of Linux, since you're more understanding of that.
Yeah. So really the main difference between Linux and Windows is, well, let me start off with the history. Linux actually started or came about from the Unix operating system, and then Mac OS kind of derived from Unix as well. So that's where Mac OS comes from. But Linux was actually a play that a guy named Linus Torvald, he created the operating system by basically taking the Unix operating system, and because the Unix operating system was actually owned by, I believe, Oracle at the time, or one of those, IBM, one of those companies. So basically what Linus Torvald did was rewrite the Unix operating system and named it Linux. And so that's where Linux actually came from. And the purpose of him rewriting it and putting it out there is to keep it open source. And open source basically means that the actual Linux project is available for anybody to look at. Most people don't know this, but with a Windows operating system or Mac OS operating system, you can't actually look at the source code, because that's like their bread and butter. By controlling that and keeping that in-house, nobody else can copy it. You know what I'm saying? So with the Linux operating system, the whole kernel and everything dealing with the operating system is open source and readily available for anybody to look at online, because it's free. And anyone can actually add to the project or write code that can be added to the kernel or added on top of the kernel, as long as it's approved. It's like a approval process. They use GitHub. I don't know if people know about GitHub, but that's a place where people keep repositories of code and projects that they're actually working on. But that's pretty much the big difference between that operating system as well as Windows and Mac OS, because they're kind of, and then also, like I said earlier, Mac OS, it actually derived from BSD, which is another like form of Linux. That's where Mac OS kind of has its roots, but it's a Linux-based or a Unix-based operating system as well. It's just they put a whole bunch of stuff on top of it, so you don't really see it. Most people, if you use the terminal in Mac, or most people have seen it to like install some software or something on the system, you really don't have to see it that much, but it is there. But there is a terminal, just like in Linux, in Mac OS. So
Like,
I hope I explained that good.
You mean yeah? I mean, that's explained good. I hope I correct the feedback and the sound. But
yeah, it sounds better.
The command line. That's what you mean by terminal. Like, to put in and tell the computer what to do on the command line on the Linux operating system.
Mhm. And where that came from, the terminal is basically computers back in the day. They had what they call a terminal that you would go to like manage a server or so. And so that terminal is where you would go to actually log into the server or whatever computer that you're trying to connect to, and you log into the terminal. So nowadays what they have is a terminal emulator, which is a direct connection to the code in the background and everything. So hopefully that explains it right.
Yeah, I follow through. And like always, keep it techie. This is education part of today's stream. So like I said, for people that's listening for the very first time, if you're not familiar, it'd be good to take notes or go back to the playback. But one thing, the reason why I asked this, because I once had a Linux, and I think an IT person that was fixing something on my old laptop kind of put the application or the software onto one of my old computers. And I never really got the gist of things. I mean, I could have learned a bit more if I wanted to, but I was familiar with it years ago with it. I still keep a drive that has the operating system, but the problem is because I never had a hard time updating it. When I tried to go proceed, maybe because of my old laptop that I put the operating system in, that, it was asking to either upgrade or something that it requires a fee, just at the time.
Okay.
But like I said, I heard some people say if it's open source, it's, free to download and all stuff, it should not require a payment. I'm not sure if it is now because of how things are now. A lot of people that's user-friendly to certain applications. But, like I said, if it is still open source there, I mean, I tell people to take advantage of it, If you don't have, if you're not paying to put any software or operating system on any new computer that you're trying to put on a new hard drive. Because normally every time if your hard drive fails and you're replacing it, you're going to have to spend money to put in a new hard drive, particularly Windows 10, or not even that, or you can go to the Mac store and they'll put it in for you, download and all that stuff. No fee. But I think with Windows, they do charge just for people to use their operating system to install in now. I think the reason why, because Windows is very popular. And I think that's really what's really built Microsoft, the operating system, the application throughout history.
Yeah, that's where they get their money from, and that's the whole licensing thing, which they're kind of moving away from it a little bit. But the licensing port is what they actually, because you don't actually own the operating system. Because if you own the operating system, then you would be able to do kind of like what you do in Linux. You can actually look at the kernel. You can modify the kernel. You can make changes to the kernel if you want to. All their stuff on Windows is locked down. You can't even see it. And that's why I recently, I meant to do a video on this a while back, but the XP kernel got leaked online recently, and it's not the first time. I think, what was that?
But hasn't people not abandoned XP now because it's no longer protected by upgrades now for the last few years?
Yeah, that's true. So, but it's still like copyrighted, and so they still try to hold on to it because it's they built upon that to actually create Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. Ports of that kernel are included. Yeah. So that's why it's important to them to keep that, on lockdown too. Because certain ports were rewritten for the newer operating systems and they add on top of it, but a lot of it is is they basically building upon the code as they go. That makes sense.
I think it makes sense. Before I ask the question, because when the XP, I think I had one before, and I gave one of my family members a laptop that had that, and I know I assisted one person on a laptop that still had XP running on it, but there were certain things I wasn't able to do, like certain applications I could not update because of the internet, and the code itself might no longer be functional. Maybe because when they change up the application software, like from XP to 7 to 8 and 10, they eventually is no longer supported. So I guess it makes people eventually, if they have some old, you're going to have to upgrade eventually anyway because the system's going to no longer function. So this is the kernel that controls it. Because everything is changing up. Am I right? I could be wrong. Cause I'm not really familiar with the kernel itself. So if you want to be honest, what is a kernel? I don't know if I ever looked this up. What the definition of a kernel is.
The kernel is basically, and I'm gonna just give it a base level explanation. It's basically the heartbeat of the operating system. It controls everything. It controls all the modules, and basically what needs to run when it needs to run, and it controls all of that, like processes, just to get the operating system up and going. Now, one thing, it starts off with like a bootloader. The bootloader actually, boots the system up, and it basically tells it the kernel to boot up, and the kernel controls everything else. So, like you can make kernel changes where it activates modules and just different things within the operating system to make it function. If you didn't have a kernel, then, it wouldn't be anything. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the kernel really is. And that's kind of like a basic explanation. And I'm sorry, I don't 100%, understand it. I just know that it's a collection of modules as well as, the base operating system that boots up the system.
I see. Okay. I mean, that's a good summary. For those who want to know more, y'all could probably look it up yourself if y'all more want to know about just the software application of things. Like I said, I don't know it all. I dabble with certain things. I should probably do more on it to have a better understanding. But like I said, I'm learning as I go, like everybody else. So bear with me, people. These things take time. So not everything that's presented to you, you're gonna understand firsthand. Sometimes you got to go deeper into the thing to understand the real inner workings of most application software. Because one thing with software development, and you can probably correct me, you have to have a clear understanding to think algorithm-wise, an algorithm, to understand how a process works.
Exactly.
I think now. Because we older, we probably born the same decade, Keepittechie, that when we come up, we didn't know much about, basic computers like that unless we were depending what school we used to go to. I think mostly middle school or high school, it was more, we start messing around with it more. But, most people that are, let's say our children that were born in, let's say, the end of the 90s or early 2000s, this is their thing. Sometimes some schools is required to teach them this, have an understand basic. Even with certain students now, what I've heard when I taught them that's in middle school and high school, they just now starting to learn code. And I mentioned this to Cameron, my other guest, a few streams back on this. And my problem with all this is that most of our people are very much behind. And I think this is constantly intentional. Because the people that we indulge, the application, the games, even the basic software we indulge was sometimes made by us, but really the ones that really build it, it's not us. The people that learned this decades ago, and now we just now coming in folds with all this. While everybody else has already understanding and already ahead. Hell, there were millionaires and billionaires right now as we speak because some of them know basic software development and coding.
Yeah.
From Snapchat Facebook, Twitter. I think a brother made WhatsApp app. I could be wrong. I double check who made it. But these people that's not us that making these applications, and they already made their money off it. So now we are coming into the realm of this. We are decades behind, bro. It's no joke. You know. Now I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if it's
you're
our
100%
fault.
correct.
I'm not sure it's we could say we play part into it, but we just don't know because we feel that everything that's given to us that we are up on the times, but we're not. You know? And this is really, I'm sorry to say it, by design. You know? So me talking about tech, even having discussion now with you or anybody else, the average consumer will find this possibly boring. But to understand this will affect your everyday function in the 21st century now. Do you know, recently when I'm looking at commercials and all that stuff, I'm seeing them advertise more about learning about coding than I've seen in the last decade. So I'm thinking, as I quickly think about things, say, it seems to me not only they're trying to make a profit, but they're preparing you that's already here and how you're going to move forward now in the next 20 to 30 years. And there's new wave of what we call technical age, industrial age. Now, and to those who can't adapt, potentially will possibly starve if we're not careful. Because think about it, we no longer are interacting now because of this situation as you see in front of us right now. And all thing does is further technology more faster, which is always going to be accelerating anyway, but with the help of more faster bandwidth with 5G here, it's going to make it absolute now. That you got to have an understanding of this. I'm not sure if you taught any people that's older than us just simple tech or just how to operate a smartphone, because phones nowadays are smarter than people, and some people don't even know want to deal with that. And in fact, they don't have to adapt. But I'm telling you, if you live in here in the Western region, especially in an industrial environment, because majority of people live in cities, bro, that you have to have a better understanding of simple tech. You have to know all, but just have a base understanding. Well, you know.
Yeah.
Because they're great. Go ahead.
Nah, I was just gonna say, in the near future, if you don't understand technology, you're gonna get left behind, and that's a real thing, because the technology is moving so fast and it's being incorporated into everything that you have no choice but to learn technology and get into using these different technology, at least having a base understanding in order to make money. So, yeah, I agree.
Oh, for the call number for people that's listening in, the call number for tonight's show is 712-770-4160. The access code is 977-194#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. Access code 977-194#. Tonight's stream is titled Chaos Reign Presents Let's Look into Tech with my guest, Keepittechie. One thing I did want to ask, you are familiar with the Raspberry Pi, am I right?
Yes, I am.
The little small. What is the endless application one person could make use of a small device we call Raspberry Pi? Oh, before you explain, give more a background what Raspberry Pi is to the people that's listening for the first time, because people are not familiar with this. I'm just throwing things out with you.
Yeah. So basically what a Raspberry Pi is, it's a tiny, and very affordable computer. It has everything that you need in order to, create a computer. Like back in the day, a computer was like $1,400.
Yeah, I remember them.
A computer.
Yeah, very bulky and expensive. Yeah. So this little computer, is like
$35 you can get from off Amazon, or $40 from Amazon. It could do pretty much everything your desktop could do back then, and it's even faster. You know what I'm saying? They come with a good amount of memory on it. I think
RAM.
I mean RAM. Yeah. Well, it has memory, all that stuff. And you have your connections. You could plug in USB, keyboard, mouse, and all that stuff. And one thing about it, is it's a great way to get kids into, computers, because it's pretty much a board, computer board. It has the processor on it, like I said, the memory or RAM, and you can set this thing up. It's all module, and you can set it up, and just all you need is a keyboard, mouse, and a monitor, and you can plug in, HDMI. It has an HDMI port on it, and you just plug in a power source, and there you go. You got a full, computer. And I think the most recent one is the Raspberry Pi 4. I think that's the one that just recently released a little while back.
I have that. I have that. I wish I had one with more RAM, but I just bought this for a special occasion. But yeah, listening.
Yeah, and it's it's a good. That's how I started my kids out. They had a laptop, but I want them to kind of see how a computer works and how you can hook up a monitor to it. They have even boards that you can add to it. You can build your own laptop using a Raspberry Pi. It's a lot of different projects out there, and they have plenty of ISOs or operating systems that you can install on it that can handle certain things. Like a lot of people, and basically what a Raspberry Pi is, it's an IoT device. That's what a lot of people use it for. And IoT, I don't know if you know much about IoT, but that's...
No, I'm not really familiar. You might have to just give me a brief, explanation. But I'm listening.
Yeah, it's basically Internet of Things. So it's like, how nowadays they have you can have your refrigerator connected to the internet. You can have your coffee pot connected to the internet. Or how they had the ring thing that you could put at your door that has a camera and all that stuff. All those things are connected to the internet. That's why they call it IoT devices. Internet of Things. It's just a whole bunch of things that are connected to the internet and accessible on the internet. And so that's typically it, where the Raspberry Pi kind of falls in as well. But it can also be used as a desktop, computer, where you can do pretty much anything on it.
Yeah, that's excellent. I never think that would be good for young kids or any child of any age to get more familiar with just messing around with computers. Something small, simple. I think back in the day before they had Raspberry Pis like that. People, you have to, if you're a person that want to understand how a computer works, you have to deal with those bulky computers. But now they make it more easy and applicable, that it's more funner. And hey, think about it. Most kids, once they touch, they already have a feel to it already, because coming out in a new environment, first time in the world, they pretty much almost programmed to really assimilate very easy to technology. I think one time they said if you're a person of a certain age and you don't know how to work a smartphone, just give it to a kid, or give it to your 6 or 5 month or 8-year-old son or daughter, and they'll just mess around and show you how that thing works. Just like that. Yeah. Because children, like any, they're adaptable. We used to adapt to our environment as well. So, with technology, it's kind of simple. And like I said, like any adult, you have to keep up with the times, people. You have to keep up. There's not much I could tell average people that's older than me, the basic importance. Because I'm not a serious tech dude, just letting you know. But when people ask me simple questions like this or anything that's too complex, I tell them, to start from the basics. And I tell them the importance. You don't have to be mastered, but you have a clear understanding of it. If you're a person that's not comfortable with using smartphones, I tell you, make yourself comfortable. I can't tell you stories how I had to help people on my family side how to work a smartphone properly. You get me? And some of them, either they weren't willing to learn or they don't want to learn how to learn. Nonetheless, I don't baby too much. I just show them firsthand and slowly and say you have to practice like everything else, because repetition is the key, ladies and gentlemen. It's not one time I show you or anybody show you something that you get it. You're going to have to practice on it, just like how we go to school and do our homework just to understand the material. Same thing with tech, especially coding, the aspect of coding, to follow through. Now, in regards to coding, do you know what's the word? Startup way of learning how to code or any application from Java, C#, anything? What you would recommend anybody if they're not comfortable with coding? Because eventually it's going to be required, depending on what they're trying to do, to what to start off with.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can recommend like one of the most popular programming languages. And first off, let me explain, I guess, a concept of programming or coding.
Please.
With most programming languages, the concepts are pretty much similar. It's just the syntaxes that make them different. It's kind of like different languages and stuff. Like I'm trying to think. Like certain words in, I don't know, Spanish, or similar to the sound and the way it's pronounced. The pronunciation is slightly different, but certain words are interchangeable with other Spanish languages, like I don't know, Colombian or something. I'm just trying to come up with some type of example, but pretty much the syntax, or you can say dialect, is slightly different, but the concept of the core of how you write the programming language is pretty much the same. Like you have functions that you can write into the actual programming language, or you have different variables that you could declare. It's just a certain way of declaring it based on the language that you're writing in. So one thing you can do is pick a language that you're interested in, a programming language that you're interested in, and start learning that and stick with it. And don't start jumping around if someone is, or if you see on the news, okay, yeah, JavaScript is what's hot now. Don't, like in the middle of learning Python, just go on and jump over to JavaScript or Java. Try to learn that in the middle of it, because you might start confusing yourself. Pick what language you want to learn and stick with that language until you master it, and then you can move on to other languages, because the core concept or the core outlining of how a programming language works is pretty much the same across the board. It's certain variants that are different, but once you get the hang of one, then you can easily pick up the concepts under, or the dialect, so to speak, of a different language, if that makes sense. And that should kind of break it down.
I kind of respect how you laid that out, because me as a person, because I dabble with different coding language, and mind you, the reason why I do, because I want to get understanding of coding for my own purpose. But I've noticed, because when I talked to other dudes, he talked about one particular code, which is good. I think it was C# or C++ for certain applications, because of certain job fields. And I get it. But to me, I think that it's hard to maneuver between language and language, and I have not really grasped one language. Just like how we speak English, whether how we master or not, it's still a language that we use every day to communicate not only to ourselves but others. And to jump from either understanding this language to another language, it can be confusing. So to sit down and just learn and just understand and master this one language and get it down packed should open the doors to, if we want to dabble to other coding language, it should transition a little better, easier. Because what I've learned from all these languages, the process is almost the same, bro. The only thing different is a tweak either from a comma to a whole different language, an expression, to let the compiler cope with to express what you're trying to tell the computer to do.
Exactly.
And that's one thing I've discovered. And mind you, people, I did this because I just want to see what's unique about all these languages, from my understanding. And I'm going to tell you firsthand that some of them are the same. The only difference is to make your understanding of how to master this. Like Keepittechie said, it's better to just stick with one, learn it the best way, see if you understand and master it. Once you get it down packed, now anything you want to transition should be even easier. It's more than just type it in hello world and you see the program. It's much deeper than that. I'm telling you that right now firsthand. And I have to understand it firsthand as well. And I tell you, it's much more complex, but to cut the learning curve, it's better for any person that wants to understand coding and learn it and grasp it, stick to one language.
Exactly. And and it's one thing I wanted to add though. Most people don't think about like it's certain, like even languages that most people wouldn't think about can actually translate. Like for instance, I give you an example. I started working for a company where I built the database front end, and I was using Access database with SQL backend. Well, in Access, you can, obviously there's SQL to manage the data, but then also they have a programming language in pretty much all of Microsoft Office products called VBA that you can run code in the background that can manipulate certain things, or you can call queries, you can design things and make things look a certain way, or reports come out a certain way by calling certain queries, also by using the VBA code. So I learned VBA. I purchased a book. I sat down and figured it out how to actually use VBA. And I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, but I understand the full concepts of VBA in order to build out an application for the job that I was working. Well, it's crazy because just by learning VBA, that opened the door up to understanding Python. Because just like what you said, the concepts are pretty much the same. You have functions, you have, variables, you have declarations, all of that within VBA. And I was able to figure out, I was like, oh, okay, so in Python, this is how you do a variable. Instead of writing this word to declare something, then over here in Python, this is the word that you use to actually declare something. So it opens up that door, like you said, and opens up your mind to understand that a lot of the concepts translate to other, programming languages, and it allows you to pick it up faster, a whole lot faster than you would by just jumping back and forth or not really understanding the full programming language and then trying to jump over to something else. It'll give you that base level understanding, so you can kind of pick up pretty much any programming language from there. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. BB-8, yeah. I'm trying to remember what that is again. BB-8. I'm not familiar. Yeah. But that's where it has to start, and that's how people going to really get real grips on it. And like I said, even the days even when I attended school, and it's one of the few things, the introduction of the computer science section, that was the first thing I was stepped into was Python. And I've been hearing about Python. I bought a book on Python was it physical? I think it was physical or digital. I never did make the time to understand because I'm a person that had to visually touch it and see it work instead of just reading it, because books are good for a certain situation, but when it comes to technology, and this is my my views on it, that with technology you have to touch it, people. You can't just read a comic book and say you have an understanding or you master it. With technology, you have to actually feel, touch to see the inner workings of it. I told one person in a bookstore that it's kind of cool buying the book, but I told him how I view it to really learn the concept. I have to really visually see it if possible. The reading part could be cool, but I have to really touch it, see it, process, cope with to see it work in action. Because my understanding is if you can't really touch it and see how it works and read it for yourself through your own eyes, you're not going to grasp and understand how the algorithm works or how the code works firsthand. And to study and read code is an art in itself. Can you agree? Keepittechie?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. So my like I said, that would be a first start for anything else. So my rules in regards to understanding certain basic tech and coding and all stuff is you have to touch the thing. You can't talk about motherboards and how this thing works without touching it. The book will give you insight of what to do, but until you actually get your screwdriver screwed out, look at it personally, and see if what it really does work with your special components, you're never going to have an understanding. Certain things you can read, but in technology, my recommendation for anybody that's not into tech, you're going to have to really touch, then read or watch all together to get the real concept. I think one thing, because my good friend Cameron present me this computer science on Harvard. I tell you, they have some good material on Harvard for free on their website. I recommend anybody that does want to understand computer science 101 also. Yeah, look into that. They have some very good material.
And just to add to what you're saying, I'm sorry, but just to add to what you're saying, there is other resources out there as well based on like what you said, as far as schools. Like I don't know if you ever heard of edX. .org, but it's EDX.
That's Harvard. That's the one.
Yeah.
edX.
Yeah, yep. They got the Harvard. They got UC Berkeley. A lot of different courses that are out there to help you get into IT. That you can actually take advantage of. So.
Yeah, the resources out here. Udemy is also a good platform. You don't have to pay much. But like I said, if people want to really get their hands into it, being proactive is one start, but you gotta know where the resource is at, and that's one of the few things that our people don't really know or get into because the lack of resource. And the resource is there, is people gotta guide them. I tell people many times, Google can be a friend, it can help, but sit down, listen to streams like this could further cut your curve of your search. Because trust me, I could have found other resources to get the basics to learn certain things, but like I said, I network with other brothers and sisters on here. And another aspect, the network aspect, especially with the internet, because it's a broadband of the world net. People got to make use of your resource. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, IG all day, just looking, glaring, and sending a message, you're not learning. I tell people many times, I've done it partially on certain applications, social media sites, but when I first started the social media thing, I was not really intentionally just out there to say I'm going to look and try to get hookups on the average. I tried to see who can I communicate and network across the whole world, possibly. And behold, it has benefited me greatly. But like I said, Keepittechie, I'm not very resourceful either by the decision. But like I said, you have to be resourceful and make use of what you have in front of you. I mean, this is a very powerful tool. We're in a beautiful time within where everything to learn, communicate is in our fingertips now. The only important is how you utilize it for your benefit. I mean, if we think about it, a lot of people today, bro, we should not be having an issue complaining about we're broke and we can't make money. I mean, I cannot use that as an excuse now moving forward, to be honest with you. I see too much advertising, too much opportunity just to make some form of residual income. Because, as you know, as us as people, we make too much excuses in regards to better ourselves. I would say personally, when we were in lockdown, bro, you know what I did for the last couple months, and I kind of slacked it, but I'm going to get back at it more, hard enough, is that I tried to say, what can I do to learn something? And lo and behold, I met a few people. I met a particular woman on, I think, YouTube, told me it's a resource. I went, looked at their material, paid a little small fee, and lo and behold, started to get on the journey to understand the tech side with a fraction of the cost. And that's something just to keep myself occupied. Because I don't want to just sit home and just didn't want to do much nothing. Because, like I said, idle time is the devil's hand. And we utilize our time not wisely. I'm sorry. And I think the reason why that is because we're too comfortable, Keepittechie.
Yeah.
The reason why we can't move forward as people is we got to be honest. We're comfortable. A lot of people say, why can't our people progress and move forward and do better? The answer is simple. You're comfortable. If you're stagnant as a male and you're not where you are in life, which some of us are, okay, I give you the answer why you're not where you're at. Because you're comfortable. Uncomfort makes you have to be innovative and create something out of nothing. Did you know your ancestors, our ancestors, during times of, let's say, oppression, had to create things out of nothing to make their lives easier? How do you think things that we indulge in say that the comfort we have was created off the minds of men and women, especially men? This personal computer was created by a man from Tennessee. Black man. That's still alive today. You think if he was comfortable, you think he would have the time to create something out of nothing? So we have to be honest here. You're not getting nothing if you're comfortable. If you want to be innovative and create something, you're going to have to find ways to be uncomfortable. And trust me, the system makes ways to make you uncomfortable. Just like how people were uncomfortable when they had this president that's no longer going to be in office now going on next year. A lot of people were complaining left and right. And I'm just going to veer for this off topic for a second, but I'm just going to make a point and follow me, guys. That when you were uncomfortable, it made you have to get up and do something. Imagine that. So it tells me, as black people, as a entire whole, you don't function well with comfort. The only time you're going to take action when you have to be put in a position where you're very uncomfortable. So I'm not saying that our people should be uncomfortable. I think that will be a start for actual change, real change. If you're complacent as a man or woman, then my advice, get uncomfortable. Now everybody say, Chaos, what do you mean get uncomfortable? That means if you are working at a job, maybe you should let go of that job and figure something else. And go starve for a few weeks. See if it's going to make or develop the creativity you need. Now, I'm not sure y'all guys are going to do that, but I'm saying maybe we need to do something different. Because I can hear the complaints all day, every day. But the majority of us complain, I have to conclude you're comfortable. Because people that are uncomfortable, do something about it. Men and women. And the more you complain, I know you're not doing nothing else but flapping your guns and being comfortable. I mean, here's the weird thing. I was a content creator, and he's saying that he is now becoming woke, and he's trying to study and understand himself. And he was like older than you and me. And I said, okay, why are you understanding what you're doing? He's not doing nothing. So I'm saying you're comfortable. I mean, I can go on and on, but you get the point, people. I said for you to do something different, you're going to have to be uncomfortable. That's why when I see black people have to act the way they are, even in the political process, because we're very ignorant, because we understand how politics work, how things research really work in this country, we should have more understanding. But you're not going to get that if you still listen to people and moving through direction of people telling you what to do, you know, instead of thinking critically of how the outcome is going to better us. That's one thing. But another thing, someone saying how I could better myself, that's another question that as a man, woman, you got to figure out. Usually if you ask that question, that means you're comfortable, because the answer is to be uncomfortable. And now you're going to seek the answer. So that's all I'm going to say in that little ramble. Let me give the call number again for those that's listening. The call number for tonight's show is 712-770-4160. The access code is 977-194#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. The access code is 977-194#. Tonight's stream, Chaos Reign presents. Let's look into tech with Keepittechie. Another question. I'm not sure if you're a gamer, Keepittechie, but any good applications for people to, I guess, get into gaming or just to learn basic coding? I know they say you could learn coding from gaming. I'm not sure if you have any resource or any answer to that.
To be honest, I really don't. My first time ever looking into like a gaming platform or an application that could help people get into gaming was Unreal Engine, when we were talking about it a while back.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't have, to be honest, I don't have much experience with it at all. I never got into, I guess, programming video games or anything like that, to be honest. Now, one thing I can say, my son has been playing around with it, and he actually does some coding or scripting. I don't know if you heard of Roblox.
I'll Google it. But go on.
Oh, okay.
Wait, Robot. Isn't that, no, that's something that's an Xbox game that's like a bot cube? Moving around like a cube?
It's kind of a kids platform with a whole bunch of different types of games that people can go into, and it's all free. It's a free platform. Well, anyway, they have like a place where you can actually build games, and kids are on there actually building games. And my son has taken a liking to actually messing around with. He downloaded the application, the developer's application that goes with it, and that's the thing. I don't even have any information on that to give to anybody. But Roblox is basically the platform, and then they allow people to create games on there. And so he got interested in it, and he's been building worlds and all that stuff. And my oldest son, he's actually been learning how to use Blender to create the characters, or like the skins and all that stuff. He actually has a bunch of skins that he actually created in Blender to put on his characters and stuff when he's running through the game and all that stuff. So, and they've been making money off of it, and it's crazy, and it's not money. It's been like in-game money, because they've been selling. You know how all these platforms, they have their own little in-game type of money. So they've been making money doing that on that platform. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's excellent. You mentioned Unreal Engine. Do I have that software? I once had it. Maybe I still have it now. I got to sign it on my computers. They kind of updated. Yeah, that's an excellent application. I know Udemy is also another good one. I didn't really mess around. I have a book on it. Oh, I still have it. I want to get rid of it. But those two applications are a good start for any person over the age of 8 or older. If they really want to get into it or make a profit or wherever you're trying to, your end game of what you're trying to accomplish, those are two platforms to look into. I prefer people to try the Unreal Engine because the Unreal Engine application is so much convenient. It's simple to use in a way. It looks complicated, but it's very simple. A good book or someone that has a good understand background of Unreal Engine, how to use the base operation itself, from the skins to the folders. It's pretty simple to use. I think what separates the two, and I could be wrong, I only can speak from the Unreal Engine side of things, that if you're a person, you try to create a map of your world, you could actually copy-paste from a map outside the globe using Google Maps, and you actually could paste it on as a texture onto your environment. So it kind of cuts some work itself in regards to creating a level map. Now, that's the only answer I give people that if they're having trouble, because usually with creating games, mostly 9 10 times you're going to be creating from scratch. And I'll give you a little insight about the level side of things. Now, you can create the level by yourself if you know, let's say, using Blender, or I think that's Visual Studio, maybe Blender, I could be wrong. But like you take textures from the wiring, the geometric 3-dimensional background from putting like stick together, forming the body shape and the stuff. I could be wrong. I'm not familiar with Blender. But that cuts the work in regards to level creation itself. If your person doesn't want to create levels. Now with the characters, I can't give you an answer to that because that's something I don't have no knowledge of yet. But with Unreal Engine, it cuts some of the work in half. So that's why if anybody that wants to get their hands on it, that will be a start game engine to mess around with. And think about it, most of your popular games that use the Unreal Engine, like give you an example. Gears of War. I think Watch Dogs, the new one that came out, might be using Unreal Engine. I could be wrong. And the most famous one that people still play today, Grand Theft Auto. All them use the Unreal Engine. So that's not no simple little, I guess, engineer. You can get a lot out of it. And, if you can make money off it, which it does say it give you money for what reason. If you're working with a company, it possibly be free. But if you just create off for free, off your own time and leisure, they will give you a percentage, a pretty decent one, and they get their cut. So, before I continue, I have a caller, so let's open the phone. Hello? Caller, open your line.
What's going on, Gary?
What's good? Oh, hey, Jay. What's good? If you want to ask your questions about, like I told you, this is the man to talk to. So if you have any questions for Keepittechie, go right ahead.
Yeah, so he's he's in gaming and not the gaming, computer technology, right?
Yeah, even the Linux. Because you had questions about that. So if you have any questions, you can ask him.
Well, I have a different type of question. I don't know if he was the same guest.
All right, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. What do you think about this whole thing where people are spending money in virtual worlds, buying virtual properties, and what do you think about how do you create a platform where it becomes relevant enough, just like a platform that's out right now, where people are actually putting in money in these virtual worlds and spending thousands of dollars and even millions of dollars on virtual properties that don't exist in the real world, but is worth money in the virtual internet world, where people are actually selling properties within this virtual world. So again, what do you think about that? And then what do you think after, as far as creating a platform, what would be the process to making something as relevant as they already have now?
To be honest, man, I don't even know, man, because I haven't really dealt with much game development. Like I was telling Chaos a few minutes ago, I'm not really versed in that area as far as like virtual reality type, I guess, gaming and property and all that stuff. I really don't know much about it, and I don't want to sit here and tell you I do when I don't. So I apologize. I can't really answer that question. I don't know, but I would say, I guess the way I mean, I would go into understanding the way these people market this type of stuff, because they mainly market a lot of this stuff to kids, and just to kind of use an example, everybody plays Call of Duty. A lot of people play Warzone, all that stuff. And that's one world you could think of, or one game that I could think of that gets people hooked on purchasing DLCs and all that stuff just to get a new skin. And a lot of the stuff is marketed to kids. So that's why you see, like, they recently put something in one of the Call of Duty games that allows, I guess, when you kill one of the opponents, he kind of pixelates into dust or something. And I've never seen nothing like that in Call of Duty. It's more, they try to stick more to realism in Call of Duty, but they've started putting like images or whatever that are attractive to kids, and which is the ones that, hey, Mom, can I get $20 to purchase this new skin or this new tracer rounds that come out of this specific gun to explode the players that I'm playing against? I think the whole marketing thing is something that people need to understand if you're trying to actually develop something to make money off of. And it also depends on who your target audience is as well. So I hope that answers your question. Like I said, I'm not that versed in game development, so that's.
So I got something else for you.
Okay.
So today, I don't know if you was paying attention. It wasn't really highly promoted, but SpaceX just launched another shuttle for four people. One, a brother that was in the Air Force. Most of them are Air Force, I guess. And he's going to be the first African American that stays out there the longest time in the International Space Station, right? So as they were talking, as the launch was happening, they were talking to some people that was there and explaining how, NASA and now, is getting into commercial. So you have the owner Tesla, that he's involved with that. SpaceX, they retired the shuttle. So my question would be, what do you think about the computer age or working in the field of computers in regards to all this technology that's going to be used with computers out of space, whether it be launching to the moon, expanding the International Space Station. They're talking about making a commercial space station, and also leading to Mars. How significant is that going to be when we're going to be dealing with newer technology and things that's going to need computers to get to the moon and Mars and International Space Station and exploration outside of the Earth?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And I actually seen something about that lunch. And you're right, Elon Musk, actually, he's the CEO of SpaceX or whatever. And that was, so technology, I guess what I want to get into, technology is, or programming is one of the big key things that people need to get into. That kind of ties
Right.
to the whole technology and as well as computers and all the technology that's used behind getting people up there. So if you want to be involved in that type of industry, then programming is something that, because a lot of the stuff that's on those space stations, like the International Space Station, it's a lot of automation involved in a lot of that stuff. As far as like regulating the air or the pressure within the ships. And forgive me, I'm not no scientist. I don't know much about all that.
No, you're talking on the technology tip, though. You're right.
Yeah.
It's computers that's functioning, all those different things, technological things inside that shuttle. You're right.
Yeah. So the automation piece is something that's heavily going to be used. So in order for that's something that black men should focus on getting into if they can, because that's going to be needed in the future. For people to actually program as well as build on top of actual programs that have already been created, just by taking a source code and modifying it to handle certain new things that may arise. So basically what me and Chaos were talking about earlier as far as programming, learning a programming language like Python or Java. Some of that stuff is going to tie, or a lot of that is going to tie into, future space technology. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that makes sense.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. And thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
Bringing them on, Chaos. Always bringing some good guests. All right, brother.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, I know you were asking about Linux, so if you missed early in the stream, go back to the playback if possible. He did talk about Linux in detail, so if you missed anything, you can go back to the stream. Is that cool? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually checked the website and on Ubuntu, and I'm going to probably go forward with that, getting that Linux in this old laptop. Only because it's an old laptop, I don't think you can put it in Windows.
Yeah, and that's one thing I try to push too. Let me say that before you leave, man. Revamping an older laptop or an old computer, desktop computer, Linux is great for that because it doesn't have all that bloat, depending on what distribution you download, but it doesn't have a lot of the bloatware that comes with Windows. I don't know if you ever deleted applications off of Windows operating system, like how Candy Crush will just magically appear on your Windows computer. Well, Windows is constantly pushing applications and stuff to your system. With Linux, you have control on what you put on your system and what's taking resources, for the system. That's why that's one of the reasons why I push Linux to people. So yeah, that's great, man. Revamp that old hardware. You know what I'm saying? That's a great thing to do. You can get another 5 years out of that hardware until something breaks, like the hard drive or something goes out. But you can get a couple more years out of older laptops by using Linux. So
yeah, I see how the brothers, when they go, you see the young brothers in parts of Africa where it's poor, and they take those computers, man, and they revamp them shits working brand new, and the phones too, make them shits brand new.
Exactly.
It's all about the application.
Again,
yeah, thank you again, Jay. Thank you again for calling. Yeah, that's how they do it, man. They take old parts, remove some old words like either capacitors or everything that's no longer functioning on that phone or laptop. Just remove it, paste on a new one, put a new, operating system, mostly Linux, depending on the software, and you're good to go. That's the way how people restore or refurbish old factory machines that outdated and give it more life. And another secret. They have this thing with a USB of an operating system itself you stick on an old computer as well. And I think they use somewhat of a Ubuntu or Linux software in it, because it looks like it's running off that. But like I said, it is open source, and that's only application for, I guess, reviving any computer that no longer is functioning without spending more money. And I don't advise people to spend more money on computers because, hell, I got laptops. And I haven't really put money on it like that yet, but I could, depending on the hard drive itself. But, like I said, you could save time and energy by just buying a new hard drive and put that operating system on it.
Let me ask him another question in regards to the Mac OS, right? What do you think about them constantly coming up with updates, but then having these glitches? Don't you think that they're rushing a lot of the times the operating systems? What's the deal with that?
Well, based on what I know about Mac OS, I mean it's they're very heavy, and they actually have a great reputation of having a secure operating system. And so the whole purpose of them, pushing these updates out, majority of the time, is just to make sure your system is secure. But they kind of follow that same Windows style
motto
of updates to try to push stuff to your system. Yeah, and more and more your resources is being taken up. And then also another thing about it, they want repeat customers. And so they push things like, I don't know if you remember when those iOSs came out. Well, the newer version of that operating system wouldn't work on the older laptop. So they want you, they'll block you. They won't keep the support going for the older hardware to try to get you to purchase a new product. And they do the same thing with the phones. Certain phones are not supported anymore, and that's just to try to push you to purchase a newer phone that is supported by those new features that everybody wants. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yep.
Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry.
Hello?
All right, my mic. My work. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you, Jay. Yeah, that was good. See, that's what I like about those conversations. Those are very good questions. And as you were talking, I noticed on my YouTube, I see certain recommendations. They did talk about SpaceX. But I find there are going to be a lot more black people in SpaceX anyway, because they have discovered, in regards to their bodies handling.
Hold on, it sounds like you're breaking up, Cal.
I'm breaking up now? All right, hold on.
It sounds like you're breaking up now.
Let me call back in. Let me call back in to fix this. So stand by, people.
Okay.
Oh, and for those that, I'm just going to call back. Stand by.
Yeah, going back to that SpaceX, I mean, everything that they were dealing with was, they had some computer involved with it, from, how they were monitoring it outside to what they was doing inside. And they even had these attached iPads or, where they could write and communicate with the headquarters.
All right. Let me see if my phone's better. Sound better now?
Sound like something's clipping. We're good. We can hear you.
Hold on, let me see if I can fix it.
Sound like the wires.
Is it still clipping?
Nah.
Nah, it's good, huh?
All right. I got to switch between certain devices. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Big J. Yeah, the SpaceX, and like I was saying earlier, there are going to be more black people, men and women. I think mostly more women, or either or, that they're going to really, I guess, test out and experiment outside of the Earth, going into space. because they have discovered that us as melanated people could deal with the harsh environment of space in regards to the brittle bones. People could look this up, but they did because with certain people that went to space, I think for the first time, I think it was an African-American woman, this was like decades ago, there was testing the people that went to space back in the end of the 60s, maybe 70s, their bodies started to deteriorate after come back to Earth because of I believe the gravity and whatever circumstance certain other race or ethnicity couldn't handle the effects of space. And only 2 people could manage outside of Earth without much deterioration. The number one of that is the black woman. Second is the black man. And the reason why that is, need I say to ask that the first to come and the first to last, possibly, but that's not starting. So you're going to see more black people in space. That's going to be educated and be used to go out to space to do what is necessary to build, the space stations and stuff. I already see it coming, But, you gotta take my word for it, people. You'll see for yourself. Now, my other question, and remember, guys, the phone lines is open. So if you have any questions, call now and press *61. I'll see you in the queue. With, I guess, hacking in regards to people's network and certain applications, is there anything that a person, if they're concerned about the security of their computers, to take in regards to they're not really knowledgeable of, I guess, not cleaning out their computers personally, that a person could do to protect their data information? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah. I have a few. One thing I would recommend, the first thing I would recommend is switching to Linux. And I know that sounds, I know that sounds, I guess, kind of, I don't know, kind of difficult to do because a lot of people are tied into either the Mac ecosystem or the Windows, kind of ecosystem, so to speak. And they depend on a lot of applications that are built for those different operating systems. But one thing about those operating systems is built into the operating system, and that's another reason they don't share the code. Built into those operating systems, they actually pull information that you do on that operating system. For Mac OS and Windows, you do not own the operating system. Microsoft owns the operating system, or Mac OS owns the operating system, and they can do whatever they want on that operating system as far as tracking everything that you do. And that's one thing that Google does via Android. That's why the first thing you do when you log in or you get a new Android device, it asks you for your email address. And they start tracking you from that day forward. The same thing with Microsoft. They want you to have an email address to actually create an account. Most people don't even know that you could bypass that in the beginning of setting up the system. When you buy a laptop, you can bypass that without putting in the email address. But once you do that, though, everything you do on that operating system is being tracked, and the information is being sent back to Microsoft. Same thing with iOS. They want you to have an Apple ID, which is basically an email address that's tied to your account, tied to your computer, and everything that you do on that computer, a lot of it is being sent back to Mac OS. And some of it is innocent, it's just so they can make improvements to the operating system, just to make things better within the operating system. But other stuff is just basically creating a map of who you are, so they can sell that information to advertisement companies so they can sell you more products. And so your information is being sold by you using that application. So that's why I say switch to Linux, because with Linux, you have full control of the operating system. Certain distributions, they do have some of that stuff tied into it. Like I know Ubuntu, at one point, they had like the Amazon store in there where they wanted to tie, I guess, your information. And it was really just to help people, but you didn't have to set it up. But they put it on the system for people to sign up, and then they kind of backtracked and got rid of it because a lot of people complained about it. But with the Linux operating system, you have total control of the operating system, and nobody owns it. That's one thing. That's one of the reasons they call it open source, because you or anybody else owns the actual operating system. Nobody owns the operating system. And so anybody can make changes to it. Yeah, they have controls in place by the person that actually created it. And basically he stops things from being added to it that could be malicious or anything like that, the group of developers around it. But also you can become a developer of the Linux operating system, and you can contribute to the project as well. So that's why they call it open source. But that would be the first thing, I would recommend. But if you can't do that, switch to Linux, then in Windows, you can. They do have options to go in there and turn off. And I don't know about Mac OS, but I know in Windows there are ways to go in and turn off some of that telemetry data, because that's what it's called, telemetry data, which is what they send back to Microsoft. And you could turn on, they have like scripts out there you can run on your Windows system that could turn off a lot of the telemetry data that's being collected on the system. And then also, as far as like getting hacked, since Mac OS is kind of Linux based, the way they run it, and the market share is not as big as Windows. Windows is the main target when it comes to hacks, as well as people going after systems, because the more popular operating system.
It's the operating. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Static?
Yeah.
But I'm clear.
Yeah, it's static a little bit. Go ahead.
The reason why there's more a risk using Windows, because people use Windows more than any other application. Because remember, Windows, because of the software, is what made Microsoft very popular and very lucrative money-wise. So everybody.
Plus, PCs are cheaper than Macs, right? You can get a PC for dirt cheap.
Average used Mac is. I checked the online for a used one.
Maybe you can get one in the 200.
It's not that expensive, but to get
a brand new one starts at $1,200.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, brand new, that shit starts at $1,200. You could get yourself a good computer, a PC for $200-$300 now, a laptop and all that, but not no Mac. You can't get it for no $200-$300.
No, Macs you look at still close to $5 and up if you're getting it used.
It's like buying a car.
Yeah. But go on. Yeah, but we listen. Keepittechie. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
No problem. And so based on the market share, Windows is the most popular operating system, like you guys just said. And so that's the main target, because it's more lucrative for the people that are trying to do something illegal. And that's why you hear like the ransomware attacks that happen. Like I don't know if you remember a couple years back, they had a ransomware attack that happened at like a couple police offices, as well as
don't forget about
like a hospital or something.
With the credit, and credit also. The credit bureaus
they made them pay.
Yeah, a lot of them were using Windows. They all were using Windows, and the exploit that the people used in the ransomware attack was a Windows exploit that went after shared drives, I think, or SMB ports. Well, anyway, I don't want to get too deep into it, but that is how they were able to transmit the ransomware to other systems, and it affected the whole network and encrypted the whole system, and then said, "Hey, send us 100 Bitcoin or something like that in order to unlock all this stuff." So they go after the Windows operating system mainly because that's what's mainly used. Now, ways to protect yourself as a personal, person. You can go in, like I said, they got scripts out there. It's one called Windows 10 Debloat that has a script in it that people can use to turn off a lot of that telemetry data that's being collected, as well as just putting various virus protections. Like one that I recommend is Avast. I've been using that for years. That's a good antivirus software.
Yeah, I use that.
Yeah,
a friend put that in me on one of my computers when he first looked at my old computer the first time. He put that on there, so I've been using that since. Go on.
Oh yeah, and and then also there's another application out there called Malwarebytes. So if you think that you have some type of malware on it, it's best to use Malwarebytes. They have like a lot of the best malware library that finds out if your device is infected. Malwarebytes is another resource, so you could download that, install it, and run it on your system, and just see if you have any malware on your system. And then also another thing, you can go into the browser. I would recommend using something like the Brave browser, which is a real privacy-centric web browser, as well as using anonymous search engines like DuckDuckGo, which allows no one to track your searches that you make online. But obviously, a lot of people are tied into a lot of this social media stuff. So the social media stuff also tracks you as well, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And it's so much involved in protecting your privacy. And most people just give it away for nothing. Yeah.
Which is owned by Facebook. How I know?
Yeah.
Google Facebook, and it'll tell you what the application that they bought and control. They control Twitter. They control IG. They control WhatsApp app. The only thing they have not control is Snapchat. So the apps that people are indulging using, particularly women, like me, Facebook controls all that. And yes, Facebook got caught up in a scandal back 4 years ago around this time because they said they were so-called exploiting hacked by the Russians. And people did not know that their data was being used using Facebook all this time. But we forgot said because of Google Analytics in Harvard that Mark Zuckerberg attended. I don't think he finished. I think he attended. After he made his money, he kind of went on with his career and create Facebook after doing a few years in Harvard, that he still used the analytics today to collect your data. And he had to tell the people up front in Congress. So after that, he had to tell people, when they log in on Facebook, say, we are using your data for this and that. It's not malicious, but we do this for marketing purposes. Come on, Facebook is $1 billion industry now. How they make the money? They make the money sole purpose through advertising. How advertisers know what to give you? By using your data. Every time I purchase something or what you purchase, there's going to be an advertiser pop up on your feed. That's how they make money. You click on that, and you don't have to pay for it. Just a click alone, they're getting paid for it. Go on.
Yeah, and then also what they do is that's why when you go to a Google search, because a lot of this stuff is tied into it. If you do a Google search, and let's say you search for an ankle, I don't know, some type of jewelry, a ring or something. Let's say you're looking for a ring, a gold ring on Google. Well, let's say you look at the searches and then you decide you don't want to purchase a ring or something, and you start going to other websites. Well, you'll start seeing advertisements for a gold ring on other websites that are not even related to anything to do with jewelry or anything like that. And they do this stuff on the fly. So based on your search results or things that you search, you're gonna start seeing ads based on that. So it's crazy, man, the way all this stuff is tied in. So I mean, privacy is one thing a lot of black people don't really, we freely give away all our information to these companies, and that's why we like, and they know we're like the number one consumers, in the U.S. So they push those ads to it, and we freely give them the information instead of holding on to it and trying to maintain our privacy as best as possible. You can't control it all, but you could do your best to try to minimize these people making money off of your spending habits and all that. So, and then also, I see, and that's the thing. I can go on and on and on about this. Like your phone, for instance. I can give you this example. I was talking with my wife about, I don't know what we were talking about, but we were talking about something specific. I don't know if it was something she needed to purchase or something like that. Your phone is listening to you as well. So people that have Alexa, people that have Google Voice, Siri, all that stuff is listening to you. And so I remember searching or I started looking at something else later on that day. And I started seeing advertisements of what me and my wife were talking about intimately in my bedroom, but my phone was there, obviously, and I started seeing advertisement for what we were looking for, or what we were talking about, potentially purchasing in the future. Started seeing advertisements for it. So that's another thing, and it's a deep rabbit hole that I can go down on explaining privacy. But I don't think we had the time for it. I gotta.
Oh no. You can explain as much as possible. We have a little time. I mean, come think about it. To be honest with you, I don't know all of the privacy aspects of things. I mean, I'm more familiar to what is potential, that what we have in our hands, what they already know about the user. You get me? We tell our business through a cell phone. We talk in front of electronic device, from the Alexa or those little hub things that listen. They gathering your voice and record it and put it as a database, recognize your voice. Hell, we have things like facial scanners now, that people are not familiar with. Anytime if you use a certain computer where you want to use your face recognition or your eye or all that stuff, they got that already. They know a little bit more about you than you know about yourself. So when we talk about privacy, the privacy was ended for America in 2001. That's now 19 years ago. And now what I hear now is with Apple, because it's very hard to crack open certain information about their user base. They have to give that up now, I think, to the government. There's an article on this. I remember this was floating around. Was it this year? Or I think it was around this year, earlier, about that. So they really want to know everything as possible amongst people here in the soil. There's no such thing as privacy when you have technology. I want people to be clear. I don't want people to be afraid and scared, but you live in a digital age, a technical age now. And it's going to come to a point, just like YouTube. I'm going to project it. So most of you motherfuckers, trolls and all said that, want to think you're private because no one can see no evil, hear no evil. That's going to soon be gone when technology starts to speed up.
Well, isn't it correct?
No. Wait, Jay. Let me finish. I got to say this out. The reason why I'm saying this is because There is no such thing as privacy. They say they want to protect your information and protect you, but we know that's a lie. Because how the hell are they going to sell to you? They got to know everything about your living habits, your spending habits, so they can get more bang for the buck. Because corporations, big conglomerates that make money on a daily basis, hand over fist, got to know what you're spending, how you spend, where's the exchange of currency going from, left to right. They need to get a hold of this consumer, because you live in a capitalist world where consumption is a requirement, it's a necessity. And if you're a person that is very much not in control of your finance and you like to consume, they will easily target you the most to get everything out of your pocket. I mean, I know a lot of women are very much more consuming than men for a reason. Not going into that. But it shows that for us as people, while we fight back and forth and we have a separation between man and woman, that is marketing. That's a marketing benefit for them. Because they'll say the more you separate, the more you're going to spend to death. And with the help of technology, it makes it more absolute that the dollar you get is going to leave this community much faster now. Because you don't have a base economy that keeps your money in your community. And last time I checked, we gave Amazon an extra $1 billion the last couple months when we were all locked down. A lot of us didn't learn that from this lockdown. I mean, I know people got to spend money, but we look at the transactions you spent, some of those things you didn't really need. Trust me, I know firsthand. I did spend a lot from Amazon. And I had to think back, some things I didn't need, some things I did need. But it lets me know saying how very much dangerous this can be if you're not careful.
I think some people would have went crazy if they would have not bought anything throughout this pandemic. They needed something.
I mean, if they're going to buy anything, Jay, they should buy what they need.
No, of course, but I know that there was people that they went shop. You know, that was a way to kind of, for those that go shopping on a regular basis, you know, go out. So that was their way of kind of like alternating. But what I was going to say is that, as soon as you put any or as soon as you connect it to the internet, I'm pretty sure your guests can confirm that, is that's it. It's open situation now, because your communication is working on servers where it's at a database that other people have access to that control it and things like that. So, you know, it's not like you control your own server and, you know, all the information is in your box and protected. For the most part, people have public servers, and then you're using the internet. The internet is not private. It's not your internet, one communication directly just to the other person. This is an open situation. So anything that when you put out through the wires or through wireless, whether it's on the phone, a CB, a computer, iPad, or whatever, anything with internet access or communication to the outside besides yourself can be definitely, you don't have privacy. So, yeah. And the new TVs, too. The new TVs that they're making now. So they're making new standard flat screens with the internet access and the cameras. And they
cameras are in the TVs already. Yeah, there are
right.
TVs.
And
then the flat screen, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it says it on the box. If you're not careful, you got to read real careful, because a lot of the times when you buy a TV, it doesn't really come with much instructions. It tells you the basics. But when you want to go deep into, especially now that these TVs have, you know, more intricate stuff, it has internet access, you have different, you know, programming and all that other stuff, you know, it's like a computer. They give you very little information. So, but they do mention on there that the TV, you have to make sure that you turn off that thing that listens in and takes your information, because it could be hacked, but also for the main reason is, or why they tell you is, because you don't want to get a advertisement and things like that, because they're listening into, like what the brother was saying. They're listening into keywords, and next thing you know, you're looking on the internet, and I think that I would say that Google and Facebook have a joint venture or something together, because when you go and look something up on Google, right, and then you would go on Facebook, you see on the right side that advertisement for that pop up in the Facebook thing. So there's a lot of information being used that is obviously your information is now public, and they doing whatever they want to do. There's really not much that by law you can do, because you got to read that disclaimer, and we don't really care about that sometimes because we want to use the free, services. So it's a give and take, but you have to be careful, I would say, and like you said, it definitely they're listening in, and they're making everything where they can, listen into you, but at the same time, hacking is vulnerable. Your information is vulnerable once you hit those airwaves, period.
Yes,
yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. I definitely agree with you. Hey, but Chaos, man. Hey, I have to actually get off, man. I got to take care of some stuff before I start work tomorrow. Okay. So,
is there any way I can ask you one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Move forward. This would be one question. But moving forward, what steps now for adults with their children in regards to technology? What recommendation you would give to any parent in regards to how to handle technology or try to introduce technology to their own children?
One thing, I guess the main thing I would recommend is making sure, and I apologize, making sure you're monitoring what your kids are accessing, and as well as accounts that they're setting up, all of that. You want to make sure you monitor it, because a lot of these advertisement companies, social media companies, and all that stuff, they are targeting children as well. At some point, they're going to understand how to market to your children. So eventually, they'll have a record. I think this is like one of the first or second generations that they'll have the first generation that will have like a full advertisement record on how to actually market to a human being from birth until adulthood. And so they'll have all that information from when your kids started using the internet up until they became an adult, to understand how to actually start marketing even better to the next generation. So just monitor what your kids are doing online. Make sure anything that they're signing up for, you read it, and make sure it's something. Unless you don't, some people don't even care, but I would recommend that people do that, for your kids, just to keep them safe. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is being tracked. You know what I'm saying? So it's something people need to be aware of. At least be aware of, to help protect your kids in the future. So.
Excellent. Second.
Hetapu, I would like a first.
Come on. You called me. Up down line. All right. I don't want to be rude because you do have to go. And I want to hold your time.
Yeah.
Any links where people could follow you or subscribe to your channel?
Oh yeah. I'm basically Keepittechie on, I know ironically, but on all social media. So that's one thing. Yeah, I guess when you become a content creator, you kind of have to give up some of your privacy, you know what I'm saying, and use these these social media applications, but I'm Keepittechie on all these platforms. So if you search on Facebook, Keepittechie, Instagram, Keepittechie, Twitter, Keepittechie, as well as YouTube. And I release videos, a couple times a week, depending on how busy I am from work. But they're all dealing with Linux. So if you're interested in learning the Linux operating system, or also if you're trying to get into the IT field, I also do interviews just like what you did, Chaos, with me, where I interview other people that are working in the IT field. So I really appreciate you doing this, and I hope you continue doing it. You know what I'm saying? Keep bringing on tech people and people in general that have information they want to share with other people. And I'm subscribed to your channel. I'm gonna definitely be following, and if you ever want to bring me on, just hit me up. You know what I'm saying? And I'll gladly come on and explain or give out information, as best I can. So I appreciate it, Chaos.
Okay. One thing I will do, I will send you my email after this on the other platform, and if you can, just email me the links necessary, and I will put it in the description on my channel. And normally this will be uploaded in time, so that you could do. And like I said, if you have any other people that if you want me to bring on about tech, please let me know, because I'm not an IT person, and like I said, I listen in, hear people what they have to offer, and I bring them on, and we just chop it up. I keep it simple, Like I said, my channel, it moves depending on the situation. I like to mix it up a little bit, so it's not like one-sided Chaos Rain channel. I've been doing this now for 4.5 years on Keepittechie, so podcast is not easy. Just let you know right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's very time-consuming and difficult. But you know the deal. But thank you, brother. I think I learned a lot tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
This is something that I hope y'all listen in, take to heart, go back if you missed anything. I've learned a lot, and I think it gives a more ideas and possibilities you could look into to better not only how you function in the tech world, but how to function through, certain applications for whatever endeavors you're trying to accomplish. So thank you, and Keepittechie. And, we're going to keep in touch. You get me, bro?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
All right. Salute, and take
All right.
care.
Have a good one. All right. Peace.
And I'd like to thank everybody for listening to today's stream. If you're not, subscribed to my channel, Chaos Rain, what you're waiting for, you know where to find it. Hit that red button, hit the top bell for all content uploads, And, that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to today's broadcast. Be tuned for the next broadcast. I think winding down is going to be very interesting. So just keep alert to Chaos Rain channel. Other than that, thank y'all for listening to today's stream. Until next time, take care and good night.
Thank you again for listening to another wonderful broadcast. I hope you learn about Linux, tech, etc. with my special guest, Keepittechie. All the links will be in the description in this broadcast. And like always, comment, subscribe, and like this video. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChaosRain7. Thank you again for listening. And until next time, let the chaos reign.